Surveillance video provided to NBC News shows how easily thieves break into and steal this pickup truck right out of a driveway in Southern California.
You do everything right. You lock your car, hear the chirp, tug the handle once just to be sure, and walk away. No broken glass on the ground. No suspicious van lurking nearby. No alarm blaring in the middle of the night. But when you come back, your parking spot is empty, vanished. And when the dealer pulls the data, your own car swears nothing unusual happened. No forced entry, no tampering, just a normal unlock and start, as if you were the one who drove it away. Across the country, detectives are staring at footage of cars that seem to just disappear without a struggle, and the usual clues simply aren't there. This new car theft method is beating alarms, immobilizers, and tracking systems, and it has police completely stumped. In this video, we're breaking down how it works and why owners of 10 specific models are finding out the hard way that they're at the top of the target list.
What's happening? Professional tools, originally built to help locksmiths and dealerships, have become the most valuable gear in the underground economy. Devices that can program replacement keys, reset systems after repairs, or talk to the onboard diagnostics port under your dashboard are now being misused. Some can convince the car to accept a brand new key. Others can imitate the signal that your real key sends. Law enforcement has started to see patterns in major cities. Cars vanish without visible damage. Alarm systems never trigger. Tracking units are found unplugged or disabled. Shipping containers leave ports labeled as furniture or machine parts and arrive on another continent filled with freshly stolen vehicles. The big picture is getting clearer, but the technical details evolve so quickly that even seasoned investigators admit they are playing catch-up. So what are the 10 models that are drawing the most attention right now?
Number 10. Nissan Altima. The mid-2013 through mid-2018 generation in particular runs a keyless system that is extremely well understood in the theft community. When so many identical cars share the same basic electronic architecture, patterns eventually leak out. The way it usually plays out is quiet. A small group scouts parking lots, apartment complexes, and street parking looking for that generation. They are not breaking windows or forcing doors. They are focusing on the invisible part of the security, the conversation between your key and your car. Older rolling code systems were designed so that the digital code changed every time, which on paper makes them nearly impossible to copy. In practice, enough work has gone into intercepting and predicting those exchanges that certain models are no longer the locked box they were meant to be.
From your perspective as an owner, it just looks like this. The car is locked when you leave, and it is gone when you return. The onboard records show a normal unlock and start event, as if you had been there yourself. There was no broken glass, and cameras, if they catch anything at all, usually just show someone walking up, getting in, and driving away like they had the key in their hand. If you drive this generation, you do not have to panic, but you should add friction. A simple steering wheel lock is a visual pain for thieves who want to be in and out quickly. A good Faraday pouch at home for your key fob keeps its signal from leaking to anyone lurking nearby. Those two small steps alone can make your car look like more trouble than the next one down the row. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, which car do you drive, and have you seen theft issues nearby? And hit like so this reaches more people who don't yet know they're at risk.
Number 9. Honda CR-V. Here we have a model that is being hit for two completely different reasons, depending on which era you own. Older examples share similar keyless vulnerabilities to what we just talked about. The security protocols were designed in a world where highly specialized interception hardware was rare and expensive. That has changed. Thieves who understand those systems can now operate with equipment that has become smaller and more available than most people realize. Newer versions of this popular crossover sport utility vehicle face a stranger problem. Those models are packed with driver assistance technology, forward radar for adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring sensors, lane-keeping cameras. For you, those features are safety and convenience. For a thief, they are inventory. A single radar unit can cost well over $1,000 installed at a dealership. The same module, removed neatly in the dark and sold through an online marketplace or a back-channel shop, might bring in a few hundred in quick cash.
Owners often do not even know a theft has happened until the next drive. The car starts, everything feels normal for a moment, and then warning lights appear, saying the collision avoidance system is not available or the front sensor has failed. Only when a technician opens up the front end did they discover that key hardware is simply gone. With this one, parking choices matter. A well-lit space, cameras, and putting the nose of the vehicle close to a wall or another obstacle make it harder for someone to work undisturbed on the front end. Combine that with a steering wheel lock, and you have at least pushed your particular car down the priority list.
Number 8. Toyota Camry. This sedan has long been known more for reliability than drama, but in the last several years, it has quietly become a serious target in certain generations. The keyless system on models beginning around mid-2018 relies on a challenge and response between the car and the fob. That system is strong when everything goes as designed. The problem is that specialized devices exist that can imitate that conversation convincingly enough to unlock and start the car. The people using these tools are not improvising in the parking lot. They do their homework ahead of time. They know the security architecture of specific platforms, which messages the car sends out first, and what type of reply it expects. Some devices are preloaded with algorithms tuned to particular brands and years. Once calibrated, they can stand in for a real key in a matter of seconds on the street.
For the owner, again, there is almost nothing to see. No forced entry, no obvious damage, just a vehicle that cooperated fully with the wrong person. The official records look like any other unlock and ignition event. Even experienced investigators sometimes have to admit that without catching the crew in the act or following a wider pattern, there is little to point to. If you drive one of these, you can still tilt the odds back your way. Storing the key far away from doors and windows, preferably inside a quality Faraday enclosure, makes it much harder for anyone to capture or relay its signal from outside your home. Some models allow you to disable passive entry, so the car does not constantly listen for a nearby key. That extra step to unlock and start can go a long way. And yes, a big, old-fashioned steering wheel bar still makes a loud statement to anyone looking for a quick, quiet win. Number 7. Ford F-150.
Here, the story shifts. These trucks are not always being taken because someone wants to drive them. In many cases, they are being mined. A modern pickup sits high off the ground, is packed with valuable parts, and often spends the night in open driveways or on the street. That combination is ideal for fast, professional crews. Investigators in several regions have documented a pattern that looks more like a motorsports pit stop than a traditional theft. A stolen vehicle arrives carrying 3 people. One stands watch, 2 slide battery-powered jacks and tools under the truck, yank the wheels and tires, cut out the catalytic converter, sometimes lift the tailgate if it is a high-value design, and drop the frame onto plastic crates. The entire operation can be over in less than 2 minutes. The pickup is still there in the morning, but it is sitting crippled, and you are left with a repair bill that can run into the thousands. Because the truck itself did not disappear, some owners only discover what happened when they try to leave for work. Others wake up to a message from a neighbor who noticed the vehicle leaning strangely. Insurance companies know this pattern very well, and in some areas,
it has become one of the most common claims for popular trucks. If this sounds like your daily driver, it is worth taking a few physical steps. Wheel locks are not perfect, but they slow things down. Parking close to walls or other cars to restrict access under the vehicle helps. Simple motion-activated lights and visible cameras over a driveway create just enough extra attention that crews may decide to move along rather than risk exposure. Number 6. Kia Optima. Certain mid-2016 through mid-2020 models left the factory in the United States of America without a proper hardware engine immobilizer on many base and mid-level trims. That was not because the technology did not exist. It was because regulations in this market did not demand it, and leaving that component out saved money per vehicle. Other regions had long since decided that immobilizers were a basic requirement. The European Union mandated them years earlier. Canada followed with its own rule. Those markets got stronger default protection by law.
Drivers in this country did not receive the same standard, even on nearly identical cars.
Eventually, word spread that these particular models were much easier to start once an attacker reached the ignition area. Social media poured fuel on the fire by turning it into a trend. Once a vulnerability like that becomes widely known, it is almost impossible to put that genie fully back into the bottle. Yes, software updates and recall campaigns can add some hurdles, and some have. But you cannot magically invent hardware that was never installed in the first place. That missing layer remains a permanent soft spot throughout the life of the vehicle. If you own one, you are not helpless. A steering wheel lock is a must. Parking in secure or visible spots whenever possible matters. In some cases, having a professional install an aftermarket immobilizer or hidden kill switch gives you a layer of protection that should have been there from day one. It is not fair that you have to compensate for a cost-cutting decision, but in the current environment, it is the reality. Number 5. Honda Civic.
This compact car does not top lists because it is glamorous. It appears constantly because it is useful. The 10th generation, especially from around mid-2016 through mid-2021, shares engines, transmissions, and suspension pieces with a lot of other vehicles wearing the same badge. That makes it a beloved donor in the underground world of chop shops and shady repair operations. A stolen Civic of that era does not need to cross a border or get a fake identity. It can be completely stripped in a small building the same night. The drivetrain might go into a crashed car that is being rebuilt on paper. Body panels might fix collision damage in a shop that does not ask too many questions.
Interior parts may find their way online under vague descriptions, paid for in anonymous ways. By the time anyone is looking, the original vehicle barely exists as a concept. Court records from recent cases involving organized theft rings show this model being listed right alongside far more expensive sports cars as a priority target. The logic is simple. A high-end car is worth money overseas as a status symbol. A modest compact is worth steady money in parts, day after day. One is a headline. The other is a business model. Owning one does not have to mean living in fear, but you should treat it as a desirable asset. That means the now familiar steering wheel lock, thoughtful parking, and, if possible, a simple tracking device. Even a basic plug-in tracker hidden away can make life harder for a crew that would prefer something they can disappear permanently within hours. Number 4. Chevrolet Silverado 1500.
This is where the federally mandated onboard diagnostics port comes back into the story. Since the mid-1990s, every passenger vehicle sold in this country must have a standardized diagnostics connection under the dashboard so mechanics and emission stations can talk to the car. It is extremely useful. What was not fully anticipated is how that same port could be repurposed. On many late-model trucks, that connector can do more than read fault codes. With the right, legitimate tool, it can also program new keys when an owner loses theirs. Locksmiths use this function every day. Dealerships use it. Unfortunately, criminal groups realized that if they can get inside the cabin for even a short time, they can ask the truck to forget all existing keys and accept a fresh one. From the vehicle's point of view, this is a routine service event. From your point of view, someone just claimed ownership. Manufacturers have started to react by adding so-called secure gateways that are supposed to block unauthorized commands. In response, bypass harnesses and workarounds appeared on the gray market. It has become a cat-and-mouse game between designers and those willing to spend money on defeating the design. Meanwhile, theft numbers for certain pickup generations remain stubbornly high. For owners, closing off easy access to that port is a smart move. Locking covers that require a separate key exist. Some installers even relocate the connection behind a panel so that only a mechanic who knows where to look can reach it. Combined with an obvious steering wheel lock and maybe an aftermarket alarm that listens for interior motion, you make the quiet digital path much harder to use. Number 3. Hyundai Sonata. Earlier models in the 7th generation sold in this country share the same missing immobilizer problem we already talked about with a related brand. Again, other markets demanded better. Here, base trims and even some mid-level versions were delivered with weaker protection. Those cars are still on the road today and still being targeted. Then the new generation arrived with a fresh design and finally included proper hardware immobilizers. That should have been the end of the story. Instead, attention shifted to the keyless ignition system itself. Devices tuned specifically for this platform began to mimic the digital handshake between the car and the key. Some could establish that trust in a surprisingly short time.
To their credit, the manufacturers did not just shrug. Software campaigns rolled out, security updates were pushed, and theft percentages for these brands dropped from their worst peaks. But even with progress, they still represent a large slice of national theft numbers. When millions of cars share the same vulnerability window, even a reduced rate still means a lot of people waking up to empty spaces. If your daily driver falls into either side of this timeline, your first call should be to a dealer or trusted shop to confirm that every available security update has been applied. After that, it is back to basics. Visible physical locks, smart parking choices, and maybe a conversation with your insurer about discounts for additional anti-theft gear. Sometimes they will help pay for what ultimately also reduces their own risk. Number 2. Honda Accord. The 10th generation, especially around mid-2018 through mid-2022, can be attacked with almost every technique we have already mentioned. Older trims use key systems that are easier to clone than they should be. Newer ones rely heavily on that onboard diagnostics connection for key programming, making them vulnerable if someone reaches the interior. And, like the smaller sibling, they are full of parts that bolt right onto other popular models. Organized crews have been caught on camera running what officers nicknamed pit crew operations on these sedans. In some incidents, they did not even bother taking the whole car. Wheels, tires, and catalytic converters were stripped in record time, and the frame dropped onto crates. Then the group vanished. In other cases, the entire vehicle disappeared, only to be found later half dismantled in a warehouse. The reason is simple. Engines from these cars fit into a variety of other vehicles. Factory wheels can be resold quickly. Even the seats and interior panels have a ready audience among people trying to fix up damage on a budget. Once again, your family sedan is not just transportation, it is inventory. For owners, the response is about layers. Start with the visible steering lock. Add a tracker if you can, even a basic one. Ask your dealer if any security-related software updates are pending. And when you have a choice, park in spots that are both well-lit and slightly inconvenient for a crew to work around, like between other cars or close to obstacles. You cannot guarantee safety, but you can absolutely influence which car looks like the path of least resistance. Number 1. Hyundai Elantra. This is the model that currently sits at the top of the charts for all the wrong reasons. The 6th generation, especially from around mid-2017 through mid-2020, created the single largest pool of underprotected vehicles on American roads. Many trims were sold without a proper hardware immobilizer, again because this market did not demand it the way others did. The result is a kind of perfect storm. You have a very popular compact car, sold in huge numbers, whose base security in this region lags behind what the same company was already building for other buyers. Once criminal groups realized just how weak that foundation was, it quickly became a favorite target. In some cities, these cars accounted for an astonishing share of all reported thefts at certain points. Later model years added the missing hardware, and other improvements are being made. But the older cars are still out there in large quantities, aging into exactly the price range that makes them ideal for criminals. Not so new that people wrap them in every possible protection, not so old that parts are worthless.
What makes this particularly frustrating is knowing that the technology to make them far harder to steal already exists and has been proven. Some higher-end brands now use ultra-wideband smart keys that measure not just signal strength, but the actual travel time of radio pulses at the speed of light. That makes simple relay attacks and signal amplification almost impossible. In places where these systems were deployed, theft rates for certain models dropped to nearly background noise. So it is not that we do not know how to fix the problem. It is that the strongest solutions have not filtered down to the mass market cars that need them most.
If you drive any of the cars we talked about, do not panic, but do not ignore it either. A few simple changes can make your car a much harder target than the one parked next to it. I want to hear from you. Did your vehicle make this list? What year, and what are you doing to protect it right now? Drop your experience in the comments so other drivers can learn from it too. If this helped you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos.